By making use of this inheritance concept or classes and object concept, we can upgrade from small to large system. When it comes to the artificial intelligence, what we are doing, we are making the machine smart. It has to think by its own and it has to take its decision by own. So when I am working with this object-oriented programming, we all know that it is not standardized. That is also one of the disadvantage. Application in the sense, the field where we are going to implement that concept. Hello everyone, welcome back to the last session on 6th chapter, that is object oriented concept. I am Rohini, lecturer, Department of Computer Science, Vidyanshram Pre-University College, Mysuru. So before getting into the today's session, in our last session we had a discussion regarding a characteristics of a OOPS. So what are the characteristics of OOPS that I have discussed in the previous session? So if you look into this one, we had a discussion regarding modularity, data abstraction, data encapsulation, then we have learned about the inheritance and polymorphism, dynamic binding and message passing, right? When it comes to the modularity, so as the name indicates, modularity, so that is nothing but what? It mainly focuses on the module. So, modules are nothing but what? That is an independent substance that will be tested and that will be used independently. So, when it comes to the modularity, complexity will be divided or it will be further classified into number of modules. Then we are going to find a solution for each module. At last, I am going to integrate everything in order to get a solution for my complex task. This is what about modularity. So, I have taken a camera example. That means camera is one of the part of mobile phones. So, we are going to build each module independently. At last, we are going to integrate. That is what I have discussed regarding this modularity. Then when it comes to the abstraction, what is abstraction? Here the process of representing the essential content. So what we are going to do? So we are just only focusing on the essential content just by hiding the background details or the explanation. So why that is necessary? So that is not necessary for the user. So that will be unnecessary content for the user. They just get to know how to operate instead of how it is working internally. So that is nothing but what? Abstraction. So when it comes to the data encapsulation, encapsulate, that means what? Wrapping up of data and function together into a single unit called object. So there we are going to wrap both data and function. So outside member cannot access that data and function. So if they want to access, then they have to be the member of that particular object or a class. So that is regarding data encapsulation, that provides a security for the data. Right? So then what about this inheritance? Inheritance in the sense what? The capacity of an object of one class to inherit the properties of another class. For example, I have two classes. Consider A and B. So this B will going to have a properties of A. That means what? This A will be the class which is giving its properties and B is the class which is inheriting the properties from the existing class, and this B can also have its own properties. So for that, you just remember the examples of your parent and their parent, that is their grandparents to you. So that is regarding inheritance. So when it comes to the polymorphism, so poly in the sense what? Many. Poly is many and morphism in the sense forms. So then which is going to take multiple forms, which is going to take many forms, that is an operator or a function will going to take more than one form. That kind of mechanism is known as what? Polymorphism. So for that I have taken an example of plus symbol. So I can use a plus symbol in order to add the integers, or also I can also add the strings by making use of this plus symbol. So that is regarding operator overloading. When it comes to the function overloading, here I can use the same function name. So function is nothing but what? That is a set of instruction that is mainly used to perform a particular task. So I can have same name of the function, but it will going to perform different operation. So that kind of mechanism is known as what? Function overloading. So operator overloading and function overloading comes under this polymorphism. So which are those two? operator overloading, and then function overloading. So these are the overloading concepts that comes under this polymorphism. So next we have dynamic binding. So what is this binding? So binding is nothing but what? Linking of the procedure called to the code. So I have a code, I want to make that code to be active. I need to invoke. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to bind all the content, all the different content into a single program so that I can run without any errors or any mistake. So that is when that binding will going to happen at the runtime. So runtime in the sense what? Execution of a program. If that occurs, if the binding occurs at the time of the program execution, then we can call that as a dynamic binding. So next we have message passing. So why message passing is so important? To make a gossips? No, right? So why message passing is important when it comes to the object-oriented programming? So when it comes to the classes and object, those two are the important concepts when it comes to the OOPS concept, right? So object is mandatory and class is mandatory. So object is a basic component of a object-oriented programming. So that will going to represent the real world element. That is a real world element, and that is also an instance of a class. So instance in the sense what? That is a replica of a class. So class is nothing but collection of object. So class is a collection of object, and each object will going to have its own characteristics and behavior. Then how the communication will going to happen between the many number of objects? For example, if I have a class here, so how many objects can be created for this class? Is it 1, 2, 3? It is n number. So n can be any number. That means we can create any number of objects for a particular class. Then how the communication will going to happen? That is with the help of this message passing mechanism. So objects will going to be communicated with one another by making a use of this message passing method. So these are the OOPS characteristics. I hope you all understood with OOPS characteristics. In today's session, we're going to discuss about benefits of object-oriented programming. So as we all know the characteristics of an object-oriented programming. So along with that characteristics, we are going to have some of the advantages when it comes to the object-oriented programming. So in this session, we are going to discuss what are the benefits or advantages that we have when it comes to the OOPS. So after that, I am going to discuss about the disadvantages of object-oriented programming. So we have moved from structured programming to object-oriented programming. Why? Because there were some disadvantages or cons in the structured programming. So in order to overcome those drawbacks, we have moved with object-oriented programming. When it comes to the OOPS concept, here also we have several disadvantages. So that I am going to discuss in today's session. Along with that, I will be discussing about the applications of an object-oriented programming. So just understand application is different and advantage different. When it comes to the application in the sense the field where we are going to implement this concept. So in the field where we are going to apply the object-oriented programming concept. So that is what I am going to discuss in today's session. So let me move on to the next slide, that is object-oriented programming benefits. So when it comes to the benefits, that is nothing but advantages. Then how we are supposed to understand the advantages? So you have to memorize all its characteristics, on what basis or on what characteristics of that OOPS we are going to have particular type of advantage. So now we'll see what are the object-oriented programming benefits. So which is the first advantage? That is OOPS model the real world entity very well. So what was the drawback? Can you just remember what was the drawback of structured programming? It cannot implement real world scenario. So that we have moved from that structured programming to object-oriented programming. When we have moved from one programming to another program, so then this programming construct should work on the previous programming structures disadvantage. So that when it comes to the OOP, it will going to model the real world entity very well. So that is one of the advantage when it comes to the OOPS. So we can implement real world scenario or real world examples in terms of programming that can be happen with the help of this OOPS concept. So next, inheritance eliminates the redundancy. So redundancy in the sense what? Repetition of the code. How this inheritance will going to remove or how it will going to eliminates the redundancy or repetition of a code? Let me take one example. Here I have a class called A and class called B. So we all know that we can create any number of an object for a particular class. So how many classes do I have right now? That is 2 classes, A and B. So when it comes to the inheritance, it is a property of an object of one class will going to acquire the properties of another class. So here B class will going to acquire the features from this A. When it comes to the B, you want me to repeat the same code that what I have designed or implemented in the A to B? No, right? Why? Because I'm just copying the content of A to B. So when it comes to the B, no need to write a repetition of a code. No need to repeat a same code again in the B. So that will going to eliminate the repetition of the code. So instead of creating any of the code from the scratch, we can implement or we can create or we can copy the content of the existing code to the new class. So this is how the inheritance will going to help in order to remove or in order to eliminate the redundancy. Redundancy is nothing but repetition of the code. Then data hiding helps to build secured program. So when it comes to the data hiding, you just remember which concept will going to allow us to have the data security. So which concept or which characteristics of an object-oriented programming will going to give the data hiding? That is data encapsulation, right? So data encapsulation. So when it comes to the data encapsulation, so what we are going to do in the data encapsulation? We are going to add or we are going to wrap the data and functions together into a single unit. So that will going to provide a data security, that will going to hide the important content or essential content from the unauthorized users. For example, if it is considered as an encapsulated, here I have a data along with function. How it looks like? It is look like secured. Why? Because it is bounded, it is wrapped. So data and functions both are wrapped together so that unauthorized users or a person, one who used to access the data which is inside, that cannot going to happen. Why? Because we have a data security here. So data hiding will going to help to build a secured program. That is one of the advantage when it comes to the OOPS. Here, multiple instances or objects can be created for a particular class. So as I discussed, there is no restriction over the creation of an object. We can create any number of objects for a particular class. So then instance is nothing but what? That is a copy of the class. That is a replica of a class. Whatever the content is there in the class, that includes both data members and member functions. So data members represent what? Characteristics, and member function represent its behavior or a operation. When it comes to the multiple instances, I can create any number of objects for a particular class. So that is also one of the advantage. Here, work can be divided easily. So now you just tell me which concept I can apply when it comes to this advantage. Work can be divided easily. How we are going to divide the work? So I have inheritance. So instead of taking all the characteristics in a one single class, I am going to divide it into number of classes. So I am going to call it as base class or a super class, and I have a subclass or a child class. Along with that, we have one more concept called modularity, right? So that is one of the first advantage of this OOPS. First characteristics of OOP is modularity. What is modularity? So every module will going to work independently. That will be tested, implemented independently, and it will be integrated at end in order to get a solution for the desired problem. When it comes to the modularity, here what we are going to do, we are not going to consider a problem as a complex task. Instead of that, I am going to divide that work into number of subtasks. Then that will be easier for us in order to maintain, so that work can be reduced and that can be simplified by making use of this modularity concept. That is also one of the benefits when it comes to the OOPS. So here OOPS can be easily upgraded from small system to large system. How can I upgrade a small system to large system? You want me to do some magic in order to create or in order to upgrade from small system to large system? Then how it will going to happen? So which concept can we use when it comes to the upgradation of the system? That is inheritance. So why it is inheritance? Because as of now, I just require only class A and B. Here what I have? I have class A and class B. But after some time, I may feel like I want to create one more class called C. Can I do that? Yes. How can I do that? I can create a new class and I can include its features. I can include its own features and it can perform its own operations and it can also have its own data. So here upgradation will going to happen with the help of inheritance concept. By making use of this inheritance concept or classes and object concept, we can upgrade from small to large system. Or else if I may feel like it is unnecessary for this my context or this is unnecessary for the scenario, at that time I can do the modification. That is also one of the benefit. So here if I am creating a class called C, that class C can acquire the features either from A or either from B. So this is how the flexibility will be there when it comes to the OOPS concept. So here complexity can be easily managed. So here you can consider either modularity or inheritance or any of the other character. Why? Because complexity can be reduced and it will be managed very well. So when it comes to the modularity, there I am not going to consider a problem as a single task. Instead of that, I am going to divide and at last I am going to integrate so that complexity can be easily managed. Here also I am not dumping every content in a single class. Instead of that, I am making more classes and each class will going to perform its own task and it can has its own data and it can perform its own function. So here complexity will be reduced and complexity will be managed by using the modularity approach. So that is one of the advantage when it comes to the object-oriented programming. Here, message passing concept will going to help the object in order to communicate and share the data. Can I create only one object for a class? For example, I have a class called A. So, can I create only 1, 2, 3 object for this one? Is it okay to create 1, 2, 3 object for the particular class? No, right? How many objects can be created then? We can create n number of objects. So this n can be any number. So if I am specifying n is equal to 100, that means what? I can create 100 number of objects for a particular class. So that understand one thing, when it comes to the object-oriented programming, there is no restriction over creation of the object. Okay, fine. Now I have 100 objects. I have how many objects? 100 objects I have. Then how the communication will going to happen? So now as of my examples, when it comes to the classes and object, class is nothing but what? That is a collection of an object and object is an instance of a class, right? That means that object will going to have a copy of the class. So as I discussed, I have taken one example. That means I have given my original notes to one of the student and I told her that means you have to give or you need to distribute the notes to the whole class. At that time, what they are going to do? They are going to take the photocopy or a Xerox of that notes. So here, how the communication will going to happen between the objects? So one of the students may be absent on that day. At that time, they have to communicate with their friends, one who are present in the class. They have to communicate and they have to get the data and they have to perform some of the function. So then how this communication between the objects will going to happen? So that is with the help of this message passing concept. So when it comes to the message passing, here there will be a communication. There must be a communication between the one of another object. So it has to communicate and it has to share its data and it has to share the relationship between one of the another object. Why? Because all the objects are belonged to a similar class. So that it has to have the relationship between one object to another object, and it must share the data. So this can be happen with the help of this message passing concept. So these are all the advantages and benefits of an object oriented programming. So based on the characteristics or based on the concepts that we have in a OOPS, we are going to learn about all these benefits. So now let me move on to the next one, that is object-oriented programming disadvantages. So now we'll see the object-oriented programming disadvantages. So what are the cons we have when it comes to the OOPS concept? So now we have already learned about its characteristics, along with that its advantages. So when it comes to the advantages, we must be conscious, or we must be master, or we have to follow some standard which concept to be used in order to implement or in order to find a solution for a particular problem. So that what we must understand each and every characteristics of the object oriented programming is mandatory. So now we'll see the disadvantages here. OOPS use tricky method to do the programming. So as I discussed, if you want to use or if you want to solve any of the real world scenario, then you must be aware of all these characteristics. So you have to understand which method should I use in order to implement or in order to find a solution for particular problem, so that it will going to use a tricky method in order to do the programming. So what is the next disadvantage? That is special skills such as thinking in terms of design skills, programming skills and object is required for a programmer. If I am doing or if I am working with object oriented programming, then I must have the special skills. So what are the skills I must have? I must know how to design, I must know how many objects should I require, and I have to analyze a programming. So I have to understand, I must have the programming skills. So when I am working with this object oriented programming, we all know that it is not standardized. That is also one of the disadvantage. It has a huge flexibility. So when we have a huge flexibility, then we may occur or we may end up with the errors. So why? Because when there is no restriction, at that time we may feel we have less responsibility. So if there is no traffic signals in the road, then how the people will going to drive? So even though we have traffic signal, they are going to drive in a rough manner, so that there must be some standards. But when I'm working with this object oriented programming, there is no standardization of the implementation. That means we can use the concept or we can use the characteristics or benefits of an object oriented programming as per our requirement, so that we have to include or we must have some programming skills, design skills, and we must aware of the objects when it comes to the object oriented programming. So if a person, one who doesn't know how to program or one who doesn't know how to design, and if they doesn't know anything about the classes and object concept, then what they are going to implement, everything will become a dumb machine. So that special skills are required. So when it comes to the last one, proper planning and design is required before using or before programming with the help of this object-oriented technique. So the main intention is that the person, one who is working with this object-oriented programming, he must be skilled person or he must be trained person. So you have to understand what is the designing we have, what are the characteristics it includes, and how to implement every characteristics or how to use a particular benefit in a particular solution. So these are all the mandatory. If they doesn't know anything about all these things, then what they are going to implement, everything become waste. So that here proper planning and design is required. If it is needs to be happen, then have to be a skilled person. So these are the disadvantages. Along with that, OOPS concepts are not standardized. OOPS are not standardized. So when it is not standardized, so there will be more flexibility and we can use the concept as per our requirement. That could also be one of the disadvantage. So this is what about advantages and disadvantages. Now we'll see the applications where we are going to implement this object oriented programming concepts. So here we have several OOPS application, the field where we are going to implement object oriented programming concept, which is the first one, that is object oriented databases. So databases will going to hold the large amount of data. So in order to work with that, we can also go with this object oriented programming, that is object oriented databases. So next we have hypermedia, expert text and hypertext. So these are the fields where we are going to apply this object oriented programming. Then how can I get to know which concept should I use for the particular application? Then you have to be a skilled person or a trained person when it comes to the OOPS. So next, artificial intelligence and expert system. So in the area of artificial intelligence, so when it comes to the artificial intelligence, what we are doing, we are making the machine smart. It has to think by its own and it has to take its decision by own. So in order to do the automatic work, that is artificial intelligence, we are giving some intelligence to the machines. So in order to work with those fields, we can also use this object oriented concept, that is artificial intelligence and expert system. So decision support system, that is DSS. So this can be used in the aerospace, and decision support system and office automation system. So when we enter to some malls and all, so door will going to automatically opens, right? So at that time, how it will going to get to know if someone is coming? So that is by using some sensors. So that can be also implemented. So it can also take the automation and it can also work with the decision support system. So that is one of the application when it comes to the OOPS. So parallel programming and neural network. So when it comes to the parallel programming, here what they are going to do, instead of doing a particular task at one time, it will going to perform more than one task parallelly. So when it comes to the parallel programming and neural networks, so in this field also, we can also use this object-oriented programming concepts. We can also use the object-oriented concepts in the field of CAD, CAM and CIM. So what is this CAD? That is CAD, Computer Aided Design. So computer aided design. So where we are going to use this one, when you want to create 2D and 3D images. So these are the applications where we are going to probably use in the engineering field. So there CAD, CAM in the sense computer aided manufacturing, and CIM, computer integrated manufacturing. So when it comes to the CIM, so we are going to use the computers in order to automate or in order to automation of the production. So there when it comes to the CIM, there we are going to use that CIM in order to make the production automatically. So that they are going to use some of the object-oriented programming concept. So this CAD and CAMs are mainly used in the engineering field. Let me take one example. So we all have the blueprint of a building before building the building. So that how we are going to get to know its virtual view. So we can walk through that virtual view, right? So that can also be implemented as the 2D and 3D videos and images. So that can also be designed and implemented by making use of object-oriented programming concepts. So next we have simulation and modeling. So these are the fields where we are going to apply or where we are going to use the object-oriented programming concept. So when it comes to the object-oriented programming, here you have to understand what are the programmings we have. When it comes to the programming, procedural, structural and object-oriented programming. So what are the advantages of each type of programming and why we moved to one of the another programming languages? What were the disadvantages? What were the advantages? Everything you have to analyze. Along with that, we have to understand what are the characteristics or what are the basic concept of object-oriented programming that we have discussed. Along with that, what are the advantages or benefits and disadvantages? At last, you have to understand what are the applications of OOPS. Okay, so don't get confused. Advantages are different and applications are different. So advantages in the sense we are going to write its benefits Along with that, that means we have to concentrate its concept, on what basis we are going to have several advantages. Application in the sense the field where we are going to implement that concept, so that there will be a difference between advantage and application. So these are the things that you have to remember when it comes to the object-oriented programming. I hope you all understood with this chapter. Let me meet you in the next session with new chapter. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you very much.